This is Total Babble. Total Babble. It's a show about music, pop culture, social media, movies, the internet, relationships, TV, whatever. Total Babble. The Total Babble Podcast.
I realized that I just did what I try not to do to my children. When my kids do something cool and they like do a dive or they jump into the pool or they do something, I react while they're still under the water. I'm like, yay, cool, woohoo. And then by the time they pop their heads up, I've finished. And then they look at me and I'm just looking at them. And I realize that I should probably wait for them to like pop their heads up and then clap. And so I just did that to you. We just started the show and I was like, oh, Stu, that's a nice hat. And it was before you put your cans on.
Why, you should have heard what I was saying about you before you could hear. So, you know.
Before I got here.
Yeah, you shouldn't feel guilty is all I'm saying.
I was giving you a compliment. You couldn't hear it. Then I just stare at you.
And me to you as well. Trying to get back because I have my special new hat on and I also have my new microphone that I'm feeling really good about. I did that thing that I do where I sell a little bit of stuff off and get a little bit of money and then use that as an excuse to buy something really big and expensive. So I've done that. And the good news is this microphone hears everything. The bad news is this microphone hears everything. So all morning long, I've been hearing.
Oh my gosh.
So you might be getting special parts of me here today.
Well, I'm happy for you.
Well, thank you. This is the show, everybody. Welcome to it. She's Emily. I'm Stu. And, you know, as long as we're starting out this way, I can mention this, that we do this show with almost absolute irreverence. There's not a lot that we care about and treat specially. There's a few topics here and there. But I just wanted to say in front of everyone that I do this show with a very caring, warm, nurturing person. And this is evident of that. The other day, I got this very special text from you, and it was almost like an audio hug. It wasn't even a text. It just made me feel all warm inside. I was like, oh, that was special and nice that she did that. So I thought I would play this for everybody. Oh, and the context for everybody on this, I'm getting a colonoscopy soon. Bloody ass. Thank you for that.
Can I get a little sympathy?
Yeah.
Because I got a bloody ass.
Aw.
I'm bleeding generously. Because I got a bloody ass. Bloody ass. Oh.
It's like Disneyland with ass jokes.
At least I was thinking of you, and how catchy is that tune?
It's very good, except there's something weird with the drums. Listen again. And when it gets maybe 5-10 seconds in, there's extra drums that seem offbeat. Not here. This is okay. There. There's something else.
Because I got a bloody ass.
There's something weird happening in the background, but it's still great. And believe me, it still gets the point across, and that's what the important thing is. So.
I see exactly what you're talking about, actually. But yeah, bloody ass. Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah. So I think that I might have that done by the next time we talk. I don't know. They scheduled my colonoscopy, but they did it with a doctor that's out of network. So I'm trying to get that figured out, and they're supposed to call me back. And
why would they do that?
They don't care. Nobody cares anymore. I feel like nobody cares anymore. You know how I am.
Ridiculous. You've got one job, Sandra, the scheduler.
Following up from last week, those protest songs, you give those a listen at all?
Yeah, they were great.
You think? You think those apply even nowadays? They're not current, but they're more current than Creedence Clearwater Revival, who I don't hate, but you know.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
This is where I reveal to you that Creedence Clearwater Revival is actually one of my favorite all-time bands.
That's fine. I'm not as big into them as you are. I don't dislike them. They're a little bit too country for me. They're too country rock. Probably why you like the Eagles. And I'm like, hey, not the fucking Eagles, Donnie. By the way, if you send a clip of the show to Irving Azoff looking to get Don Henley to talk about maybe doing a remake of I Will Not Go Quietly, it's a bad idea to send the clip of the show where it says you hate the Eagles. I forgot about that part. So that part of things is probably dead. Sorry, Irving Azoff. I always send the bad parts of the show. I want to be honest. I don't want to hide it, you know?
Well, honesty is the best policy, I do find. But, I don't like the Eagles as much as I like Creedence. But it's one of these things where I have a romantic association with Creedence Clearwater Revival. I don't actually listen to them anymore as an adult, but when I was a teenager, I listened to them a lot. I was really into them, and I did a lot of road trips, and they are the best road trip.
I have friends that are really into them in a huge way, and I just never got into them.
Yeah, but they are great road trip artists. There's something about Creedence and the road. Like next time you go on a road trip, try listening to them on a road trip and they might sound better. You know, I'm just going out on a limb there. You know how some foods go better together?
Taco Bell and the road.
And a rest stop?
Yeah, sure, because that's mandatory. Absolutely. I just always associate them with Vietnam and that whole era. And I was barely alive when all of that happened. And I remember hearing about it. And I was like, okay, I don't relate to it. And I think maybe that's why it's a block for me. Like I can do old music. Led Zeppelin is the greatest band ever to me. I just could never get into the Creedence people. So
Fairy's nuts.
Anything happening with you of note? You're going to be traveling. Or you did travel.
No, I'm going to be traveling.
I have a thing to talk to you about later in the show about that. It's very important.
I am going to be traveling for just one night. But something did happen today, and I feel kind of bad about it. But now, in retrospect, I feel like it was the right thing to do. As longtime listeners will know, I am a parent. Like most parents, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making it up as I go along.
You want to clap when they can hear you.
Yeah, that's one thing. There's that. My eldest son, well, both of them are doing swim team this year. The kids, they go and they compete in it for our club against other clubs, and it goes for a couple of months. It's a whole thing. Anyway, today, the eldest, they're doing a training thing, and he got asked to do something that he'd never done before, and it was overwhelming. It was like a 200-meter individual medley or something. And he panicked. He had a full-on meltdown, jumped out of the pool and ran towards me and was like, I can't do this. I have to go home, whatever, like crying and trying to open the gate and everything. And I said no. And he was getting irate. And the only reason and I was like, no, you can't. You can't. And I said, get in the pool. And he's like, no, I will not get in the pool. I was like, fine. Sit out of the pool, and then I will make you do it before we go home. So your choice is either get in the pool with your teammates and you do it now as a part of your training, or you can become a spectacle as you will do your 200-meter individual medley whilst the next group of older children gets in the pool and you will have a lane of your own. And he's like, I'm going to go and talk to my coaches or whatever. Like he was crying and screaming. I felt so bad. I didn't want to do it. But for context, every other time that he's wanted to quit something and I have said, okay, we've gotten home and he's had a breakdown because he's been so embarrassed, or he's like, I wish I'd made a different choice or whatever. He's let the fear get the better of him. And so he got back in the pool and he did it. And so when he got in the car afterwards, I said, hey, mate, I'm really sorry, because I was quite aggressive in the way that I spoke to him. I did say, shut up and get in the fucking pool. Like I was... we had a moment because he was screaming at me and I just laid the smack down. And I don't usually speak to my children like that. I was quite heavy-handed. And so he was shocked and left. And he got in the pool and he did it. I'm very proud of him. And he got in the car and I apologized to him. I said, look, mate, I'm very sorry for how I spoke to you and how I pressured you and how I made you do that. I said, my heart was in the right place because I thought that you would be very disappointed in yourself if you got home and you'd feel embarrassed if you left in front of all of your mates and you might not want to go to the swim meet tomorrow night. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I'm really glad that you did that. And then I finished it. But I still feel bad. Like he said, thank you. He's like, thank you so much for making me do it. But I still feel really bad.
Well, you can question yourself on how you came across in that moment. You can say, was I too aggressive? But I think the message was absolutely true and right and correct, because you recognize that, hey, this is something he does. And as a parent, you needed to show him, no, you need to face your fears and go and get things. and be successful in life. And I think that that's valuable, and it doesn't sound like he holds it against you. So why should you hold it against yourself?
Thank you. Yeah, I hope so.
And you can even let him know that you're feeling weird about it and you questioned yourself as to how you put it across. I probably would have done it the same way. I wouldn't have been any lighter about it. It's okay. I recognize this. He's freaked out. He's trying to get out of this because he doesn't have any confidence. If I don't push him, he's never going to have confidence.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's just, but then I have these feelings. So I'm like, oh my God, am I like one of those parents who like throws their kid in the pool to learn swimming or something? I felt really bad about it because my first instinct is to protect my kids even from themselves. And he was so distressed and everything. And I felt just really awful. But good news is that he's glad that he did it and whatnot. But there were other parents watching. And I think that's the other thing too. And I can almost guarantee that there are other parents there going,
gossipy bullshit.
This woman is a psycho. Because they don't know my kid. They don't really know me. They, all of those different bits and pieces, which I think is okay. But I'm sure it's pretty confronting.
I love being known around the neighborhood as the psycho. People don't bother with you, and people will give you what you want if you are known as the psycho in the neighborhood. It's a better way to be. All the people in the neighborhood think I hate dogs and I'm the worst guy ever and crazy. So now their dogs don't bark all day and make me insane. It's one of those things that I'm willing to live with. And then I'm out and about and I'll pet a dog, and I love a dog, any dog. Every time I come up on a dog, I go, that is the best dog ever. And then we make friends, and then the next one is the best dog ever. So fuck it.
Aw, that's cute. Well, I like that. What's news with you though, apart from...
I always talk about that you have to have fun in life, and I had that happen the other day. I take care of my mom, and she's got her physical today, so we had to go for blood tests the other day, and we're in the waiting area, and she went off to pee and get bloodletted and all that. And I'm there, and there's this woman there with her baby trying to keep him occupied. He must have been like 24 years old or something. 24 months old, probably.
Yeah.
Little tiny baby. And she's got her phone, and it's got a kid's video, and she's trying to occupy his time with the phone. And she like clips it to her purse on her chest, and she's trying to get him to watch it. But she's having problems with the orientation because it's upside down. And no matter which way she's flipping her phone, she can't get the orientation right. And it keeps flipping upside down. And I see her go through this for a couple minutes. So I turned to her and I said, you can easily solve this. Just turn him upside down. And she looked at me like she was going to get pissed off. And then she went, okay. And then she smiled and laughed, and we had a good moment.
That's cute.
I would love to see that. Just turn the kid, and he'd be probably happy watching Dora the Explorer or Blue's Clues. Isn't Blue's Clues from your people? Isn't that one of your things?
I think Blue's Clues is maybe a thing from here, but I know what it is.
Yeah. I heard something. I listened to programs and podcasts on audio production. There's
Bluey is our people.
Bluey, that's what I'm thinking of. They did a whole behind the scenes thing of how Bluey got started and the stuff that goes into the production of that show. And it's a bunch of people that talk like you.
And they've most of them have never met in person.
Right.
Some of them are so that whole family of animals is from my hometown. So the houses that are on Bluey look like the types of houses that I grew up in. And
the animals are specific animals to that area?
They're dogs.
Okay.
They're dogs.
Well, we have dogs
Bluey
here.
But they're blue heelers and red heelers. So blue cattle dogs. So they're dogs. Anyway, one of the voice actors is, I think, the lead singer of a band who was pretty big, a band called Custard.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. And I think one of the other guys had something to do with Triple Z, which was a big community radio station based out of Brisbane, which is where I'm from originally.
We say Z here. It's Z.
Well, it is here, but there.
Maybe the rest of the world is right if they say Z, but then I know here in our country, it is Z. There's no Z. And I don't understand how you make any of that work.
This is interesting. So talking about the differences between the country that we all love, which is the United States, and other countries.
That you love.
That I love, yeah. We've been talking about the education of our children. Now, this is the only fucking country that uses freedom units, okay? And so I've got kids who want to be scientists, You don't use the fucking metric system.
Oh,
So-
yeah. It's too hard.
It's just
It's way too hard. We can't.
it's just groups of
kilometer?
10.
What the fuck is that?
Everything's in groups of 10. So it's way easier. It's just way easier. But the broader point is that, and we were sitting down realizing this the other day, my husband and I, in a rare moment where he was home for almost 48 hours in a row, we started talking about the future of our children. And we realized that if they go to school here for their entire education, we will need to supplement their education so they can learn the metric system in case they want to pursue a career in science or go to university in another country. Because you can do school here, but your education isn't recognized in other countries because you don't know the metric system.
It's also because we're stupid. We're a stupid people. But besides that, I can go into the thing
True.
about not understanding the metric system because it's like, okay, how many centimeters is equal to about an inch? We don't know. If you want to make it easy, what you do is you make the unit of metric the same as an inch, and then you just call it something. Or you make a kilometer equal to a mile, and then you just call it something, and then we'll understand. I don't know when I'm out driving somewhere if I'm going 150 or 50 kilometers an hour. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know that I'm passing people, and I know if I'm speeding a little bit based on our system. So if things correlated, then it would be okay, said the dumb American.
But they can't correlate. The objective is that they're different. So the objective is that one replaces the other. So you don't need to convert back and forth all the time.
Well, maybe that's why we don't.
I mean, that's why that is literally why the United States didn't do it, because
They said they were going to. I remember being a little kid hearing the news thinking, oh, I've got to learn that one day. And then they just didn't. And I'm saying the stuff I just said previously, playing the role of arrogant American, but it is hard to fathom in my head. I think, isn't an inch about 3 centimeters? Isn't that right?
yeah, about 2.5, yeah.
Okay. You said that so condescendingly and shook your head at me. Yeah, it's about 2.5. Fuckface.
No, it's roughly 2.5 though, but yes, almost 3, correct. Yeah.
Well, see, I've learned that much. And I get your point. It's just
it's a mile's 2.2 kilometers ish. Yeah.
Mile is 2 point. So if I'm going 55 miles an hour, how fast is that in kilometers?
It's almost 100 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
So 60 miles per hour is roughly 100 kilometers an hour.
Okay. So I could really feel like I'm speeding, even if I'm not. Maybe that would be good for me. It's like, yeah, I'm doing 100, and
yeah, it's a very round. There's very round numbers. It's much easier to do math with the metric system.
You're a little bit gassy this morning.
Apparently. Apparently, I just unboxed some tea.
Yeah.
Got a delivery, and I've just consumed said tea, and it's
apparently the tea is carbonated. Are you drinking carbonated tea?
It's not carbonated tea. Maybe it's the milk. I don't know.
Oh. Well, you drink actual milk, like, and based on you being you, I bet it's whole milk.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They say sometimes it's better for you, but then sometimes it's not. I'm waiting to get my stuff done, and we'll find out if I'm going to die of vein clogging cholesterol. Anyway.
Oh, I don't think so. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll see. I got to get my ass checked first. That is my first goal. Check the ass. The taco movement. Have you heard about this taco movement that's happened?
No, but I cannot wait.
Taco is Trump always chickens out. That is what's been going around with all his tariff bullshit, and he's screwing up the economy, and people are pissed. And you have a picture in your outline there that is also on our Instagram and our Blue Sky. And it might be a thing that I could have done, but when you order stickers ahead of time that are Donald Trump pointing to something saying, I did that. And you have a bunch of those, and you go to the grocery store, you can have fun with that. You can go to the grocery store and find the taco seasoning and take about 8 or 9 of them and put them all over the taco seasoning. And I'm not admitting to that, but I think it's pretty clever. And I would still say, all hail me. And people are really doing good things with this. And then I went back the other day, and they had pulled most of them off, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it again. And it will be at least a minor form of protest. And what are they going to do? Arrest me? Can I get arrested for that? I don't think so. Might get deported, put in a gulag somewhere.
I wonder if they get you for vandalism. I wonder if that's a whole thing. I was not aware of the taco movement.
Trump always chickens out. Taco.
But now I've got it. Now I understand, because I was like, what is the significance of the I did that and the taco seasoning? But I needed that explanation, because I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah, a lot of people are taking to the taco, and there's lots of memes going around, and that spokesman, the hot dumb spokesman that he has, whatever her name is, the blonde girl. Yeah, they're calling her Taco Bell, and they've got pictures of her dressed as a Southern belle in like taco dresses and that sort of thing. And it's a big bunch of fun. And he was talking the other day, and he was super pissed, saying that nobody on his staff told him about the taco thing. And one of the reporters asked him about the taco thing, and he said nobody had told him, and he was super pissed. And I think that they just keep everything bad away from him. I think that as far as he is concerned, everything is just happy and gleeful, and he's going through life like the world is a great place and he's doing wonderful things. I don't think he knows how pissed people are. And I think when they do his big parade on June 14th, bad stuff is going to happen and people are going to be protesting. Maybe
he's having a parade.
He's having a parade June 14th, which is, I forget, there's some kind of celebration of something, but he's also making it about him because it's his birthday. It's a very Banana Republic ruler move. He's having his own parade on June 14th. And that it is also the day that they're saying everybody needs to text tributes to Obama and just have those running all over the place, because that way he will feel threatened. And I think he is just evil Homer Simpson. I think he is that dumb. He's that fucking stupid, and he doesn't know how hated he is. And God, it would be great if terrible things happened on that June 14th.
Yes, it would be. I want to find out what it is about, though.
I think it's like a military parade or something that is happening on that date. So it's a military parade for the military, and also it's his birthday. And being that he is our fascist leader, we all need to hail him. I'll hail Donald Trump. So I'm just saying, if he's in a big open space, there's lots of potential for bad things to happen there. And even if that doesn't happen, there's lots of potential for protesting and everybody to tweet around and post pictures of Obama and what a great president he was and that sort of thing. So it's all just a big ego trip. Oh, and the big thing on that is that supposedly the cost of this event, millions and millions of dollars, is more than funding public broadcasting. And he's pulling the funding for public broadcasting. And that's a big dichotomy that people have brought up because he's a dick, you know?
Well, that is a shame, because I think many of us rely upon public broadcasting. I think that's a real shame.
But you can't control it. And if they're going to question their leader, you can't have public broadcasting around. You got to take down the media that doesn't agree with you and says bad things about you. And that is why I keep saying, get off your ass and protest, America. That's why I bring that stuff up, you know?
Yeah.
If I weren't a part of this, it would be interesting to watch all the ridiculous shit that happens with all of this. If this were another country, we'd be sitting back going, oh, watch these fuckers. What's going to happen next, you know?
I wonder how many millions it's going to cost. I think they're estimating something like $16 million worth of damage is going to happen to Washington, D.C. because of the military parade.
Nice. So there's that, and then there's the cost to put it on, and yeah, that would definitely be more than funding PBS. So why should we have good broadcasting? I listen to some public stuff once in a while. I think it can be good. I think when you get older, you have to listen to PBS. I think it's part of the rite of passage. Okay, you're starting to get up there. You're going to listen to Wait, Don't Tell Me Now. Go check that out. So the Diddy trial is going on.
Oh my God.
I haven't really been watching it, but I've noticed a couple things. What are your thoughts? What's going on in your viewing?
I have, since we last spoke about it, I have really backed off. And part of that is because now there is so much bullshit creeping in. Now there's so much clickbait that's all around tying some people to it that aren't it. And I can't discern what's real and what's not. So what's standing out for you then?
Well, it just comes to my attention that he's like OJ, but he just didn't get to go far enough. He didn't get to the point where he got to kill anybody yet. And he is also, in addition, into terrible, weird sexual stuff and torturing people. And
I think he's killed people.
You think he's killed people?
Well, he brags about having killed people. So,
yeah.
Like shot people, like being a gangster.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That could be a part of the whole rap positioning, though. So I don't know. But there's a weird bit of news that came out, and I just thought, wow, what an odd thing. And that's that he always keeps applesauce around him because he needs to put applesauce on his hamburgers, and he'll order hamburgers and put applesauce on them. Have you ever heard of this? I know you've got some weird tastes. Have you ever had that kind of thing happening?
No.
No.
But.
All right.
But.
Yeah.
I did see an interesting social media post. A woman was complaining about a waitress at a restaurant. She ordered a hamburger and the waitress came out and said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we don't have any beef left." And she goes, "But that's okay. I ordered a hamburger." And the lady said, "Yes, but we don't have any beef left." And the lady goes, "Yes, but ham is pork." And so the lady on the social media post is talking about how it's not her responsibility to educate this idiot who works at the restaurant that ham is pork, and she ordered a hamburger and she didn't tip her and blah, 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 and all of these types of things. Because when I think of applesauce, I think of pork. And then I go, how funny would it be if Sean Combs or whatever his name is thinks that hamburgers are pork and that's why he puts applesauce on them?
Well, it's interesting that you say that and weird that you've come up with that, because with all this happening and all this freak off stuff, I went back and I have found an early recording of him doing a demo during his hip hop career. And I have this here and see what you think of this.
Pork chops and applesauce. That's swell. Have you got something stuck in your teeth? Why do you say that?
Hi, honey. Home.
Oh, this is the other rapper coming in.
You say we're having pork chops and applesauce, yeah?
Hey.
J Diddy is the other rapper coming in. There's P Diddy and J Diddy.
Not Poop Diddy? Okay.
No.
Pork chops and applesauce.
Huh?
Pork chops and applesauce.
Pork chops and applesauce.
Hey, Pete, that's pretty good. Of course, there's only one Humphrey Bogart. Doubt whether there'll ever be another one.
You don't like this new personality either?
Oh, well, that's just the trouble, Peter. It's not your new personality. It's Humphrey Bogart's old one.
All the
Oh.
great personalities belong to somebody else.
Wait, this isn't a P Diddy demo. This is the Brady Bunch.
Develop your own personality.
It's not going to be easy.
See, I thought that was a P. Diddy demo, and it turns out it was the Brady Bunch, and they were talking about pork chops and applesauce. And that hamburger with
God.
applesauce sounds really disgusting to me. And partially because of the hamburger, but, maybe you should try it.
I like how you're like, oh, maybe you should try
You'd
it.
be good at that.
Oh, no, after you. Oh, no, I insist, prévu. Yeah,
You could very
no.
much give that a go, I think.
I'm sure at some time I've probably had something like that, but it's not, I don't like the combination of flavors there. I actually don't really like pork chops and applesauce either.
It's kind of like apple pie. They put cheese on it. I think that is.
Oh, I've
you look
heard
at me-
of that.
Yeah, cheddar cheese, a slice. They do that sometimes. So I think it's kind of like that. And then if you do the applesauce on the hamburger, which is just weird, do you put other stuff on there too? Do you still put ketchup and mustard and pickles and lettuce, or do you just do a hamburger patty and applesauce? Like I said, I think you should try it.
I'll tell you what I think it's similar to, and that I think is delicious, and that is very common in my home country. Pineapple.
Pineapple on its own is good.
No, on a burger.
Really?
Yep.
I know they put pineapple on pizza, and that gets controversial to people. Do they have pineapple on pizza in your land?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hawaiian.
Okay. Yeah, because I thought maybe it was only a United States thing, because, we're not
No.
metric, so it could be a whole.
Hawaiian pizza has pineapple on
And
it.
did they put Canadian bacon on there too?
We call it ham.
Okay. They call it back bacon. And we call it Canadian bacon.
Well, and that is the difference between it's just different cuts of bacon. You know, bacon in Australia is different to bacon here as well.
Isn't it more like Canadian back bacon? I think I saw something on YouTube about this, if I'm remembering all the weird things I've watched.
Yeah, but it's very different. It's actually more similar to British bacon, and it's always cured, smoked. It goes through a process. It's different to what the bacon is here.
British bacon just has a really weird accent.
It squeals more politely.
Let's go up to the flat in the lift. That's what the British bacon says.
Yeah, exactly. On the footpath. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Other entertainment news. Taylor Swift bought back her catalog. Don't know if you heard about that. For those that don't understand this, I know the basics of it. When a song is streamed or played on the radio, royalties are paid, and they are paid to the songwriters and to the owner of the publishing. And Taylor didn't own publishing for her back catalog. It got bought out from under her, and she wasn't making money from it. And she felt that as like a very personal attack and didn't have any say over how it got used and that sort of thing. And I think she still got songwriter money. Well, that is why she was redoing her entire catalog, so she could have complete publishing and writing control over those. But the thing that people are not talking about that I think is worth considering, I think she got that catalog completely dirt cheap, probably for next to nothing. It's probably worth a lot more in theory, but I think it was probably worthless to the other company, because if she's not endorsing that version of it, her fans are going to go out of their way to not stream it. And radio plays only her new versions of things because they want to keep her happy. And if you're somebody else that owns that and nobody's playing it, it's making you no money anyway. So it's probably like, yeah, just get rid of it and sell it to her because we're not making any money from it anyway. And I think that may have been part of the overall thing. If I get people to listen to all the new stuff, then nobody's going to listen to the old stuff, and that's going to be worthless anyway. I wonder if that was a business move, and I wonder if that was her plan. And if that's so, that's very smart.
That's definitely why she re-recorded and released all of these new albums, is to erode that value. However, she has come out and said that she was unable to re-record the Reputation album, that she kept hitting a roadblock. So she wasn't ever going to release a Taylor's version of Reputation. And so there are elements in the back catalog which she was never going to re-release. So I think it's a great win for her.
And there's that one song on that Reputation album that's good, but I feel like the rest of it is just very dark and weird. And that's my opinion as a guy that actually likes her music. That's one of those records that I hit and I just went, yeah, most of it's not good. There's that one hot, sexy one that she wears the outfits on in concert, but the rest of it is just kind of like, it's very weird and dark. And I think that was around the whole Kanye period too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the fallout. It was after that. But yeah, exactly. That's the one that has like all the snake motif and all of that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And this is the kind of thing that happens time and again in the music industry. Artists get screwed out of their songs and their publishing, and they sign these horrible deals and they don't even know it. And they'll have like a platinum album and they'll finish it up and they'll be like, okay, I'm going to go buy a brand new car now. And the record company is like, no, you still owe us for recording fees and promotional fees and all the tour expenses and this and this and this. And they make up bullshit statistics. So artists really never make any money unless they get out of the deal. And there's so many people that have to renegotiate deals. And it's almost like a given thing nowadays.
Yeah, surely she doesn't need a publishing deal anymore.
No, she doesn't need the money. I think it's just the point of it for her. The re-records, I think, sound better anyway. So, yeah.
Good to know.
So you are traveling, and I am concerned about your traveling. Where are you going? Are you staying in the continental United States?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's a start, because otherwise, it could be bad for you, even though you're actually a citizen. I'm going to play you this story. This is a military wife that was detained while going to see her husband. And this is what we have become. And again, I will say it, get off your ass and protest, America.
Last Sunday, 25-year-old Nicole Sirocos was looking forward to a 3-week vacation in Honolulu with her mom.
That's where my mother and father had their honeymoon. So it held a very sentimental place in her heart.
It was Sirocos' third visit to see her husband, Matt, a U.S. Army lieutenant stationed on Oahu. The newlyweds married last December. She said she hadn't had issues before, but this time, U.S. border officials at Honolulu Airport flagged her for additional screening.
He went from completely composed to just yelling at the top of his lungs, telling my mother to go stand at the back of the line and to, excuse my language, shut up. So I automatically started crying because that was my first response.
Sirocco said they were taken to a holding room, their bags and phones were searched, and they were asked a slew of questions. Everything from her work as a former police officer to whether her tattoos were gang-related to her marriage to an American.
When I did say that I was married to somebody in the U.S. Army, the officers laughed at me. They thought it was quite comical. I don't know whether they thought I was telling the truth or not.
And when we get to this part of things and you hear these stories over and over again, I have to wonder, is this because the administration has told these people just be complete dicks and just be horrible about it no matter what when you're questioning people? Or have they just always been horrible dicks and that is the case that they're in their job and they've been held back all this time? What do you think?
The latter.
Yeah.
They have always been that way. Most people who are predisposed to that sort of behavior pursue careers where they can behave like that.
I worked for a while in a town that had a big correctional facility there, and everybody talked about the prison guards, and they were just always the dick people. They were the kids that beat people up in high school, and they were the guys in high school that were terrorizing everybody, so that kind of makes sense, you know?
Yep.
They kept telling me that I had too many clothes in my suitcase. So because of that, they assumed that I was going to overstay my visa.
You better not go on a big vacation.
Sirocco's was subject to more screening. Her fingerprints and a DNA swab of her mouth were taken, while her mother was free to go. Her heart sunk when officials told her she would be declined entry to the U.S. and deported back to Australia the next day.
And he said, so basically what is going to happen is we're going to send you to a prison overnight where you will stay.
Use the word prison.
So this is somebody that is a citizen of this United States, and they're being told they're going to be sent to a prison overnight. What the fuck?
She's not a citizen yet. So that's the other thing. So just because you marry someone in the United States doesn't mean you're a citizen.
Oh, you have to go through more process?
Correct.
Okay, I'm speaking incorrectly then.
But that's okay. But yes, but that is part of their issue with this, is that they just arbitrarily decided that they thought that she was going to come and try and sneak into the country and not leave. She hadn't yet started the process. They didn't even decide that they were going to stay in the United States. Her husband was considering leaving the military and moving to Australia. So they have decided that they thought that she was going to come here to Hawaii and go on the lam. And so they locked her up and sent her back.
Because clearly she was sneaking away to Hawaii to do something against this country that would need to be stopped, right?
Yeah, to be an illegal immigrant is what they thought that she would do.
She's going to do lots of damage there in Hawaii if she's allowed to do that. And that was part of my thought process too, was if you're that guy and you're in the military and they do this to your wife, how do you even support that? How do you stay in the military? And how do you not go AWOL yourself? And then you're in the middle of a big fucking legal thing.
Do you want to know something about our military that a lot of these MAGA fuckwits don't know?
Oh, sure.
There is a large population of the United States military who are not citizens of the United States, because if you serve in the military, it is a path to citizenship. We will give people citizenship if they serve in the military.
Very strange. I never knew that. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if they're going to have to start cracking down on that. I bet they won't, because it benefits our government.
Yep, exactly. They'll use you for cannon fodder, however.
Yeah. You're expendable. So yeah, don't worry about him. We'll just send him out if we get into the middle of anything really big, and he can be a red shirt for us. So there we go.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
All right, here's more.
Not detention center, but a
Not
prison.
detention center. He said prison. And I automatically I started crying again, because when you think prison, you think big time criminals. Like, I don't know who I'm being housed with.
Sirocco said officials conducted a body cavity search, walked her through the airport in handcuffs, and drove her to the federal detention center.
And even that, a body cavity search because you were
Yes.
trying to travel somewhere to see your husband with your mother. That is such a violation. And to me, we have this deficit of money in this country. I say give her $1 million just for that.
Oh, and it gets worse. Like when they put, you're probably going to play the rest of it, but after they deported her, when she got on the plane, she was treated like a prisoner and she had to be treated like a fugitive by the airline staff until she arrived at Sydney International Airport. She was not allowed to deplane with everybody else. She had to be met on the plane by police and customs agents, at which point they were allowed to then give her back her phone. So by the way, this whole time, nobody knows where she is. It takes at least 15 hours to fly from Los Angeles to Sydney. And I don't know which airport this happened at, right? So who knows if she had connecting flights. She was in Hawaii. So that's like a 9-hour flight from Honolulu to Sydney. So she's been kept in a prison. All of this sort of bad shit has happened. And her mother doesn't know where she is. They're not giving out any information. Her husband is waiting for her, doesn't know where she is, just knows that she's been arrested. And so she can't contact anyone until she arrives in Sydney and then is finally given her phone back.
There are just so many constitutional violations here, and it is just the worst. And it is the thing that you hear about when Hitler was doing what Hitler was doing. And I know that gets brought up, and the right likes to go, oh, don't bring up Hitler. You on the left always bring up Hitler. It's what's happening to our country, and it's very much worth bringing up and very accurate from what I have seen.
Well, they also went through her phone and said that because she deleted text messages, that was a red flag as well.
Who doesn't? I get
Right?
texts, I'm done with the conversation, I delete everyone I get. So if that's a test, then I'm getting dragged in too, which I worry about sometimes. But
Yeah, it's insane. And she was under so much mental stress and duress, she forgot her wedding date because she was being interrogated for hours and hours and hours. And she forgot the actual day, like her wedding date. She got it wrong. And they used that as an excuse as well.
well, it's like when they interrogate somebody and get them to confess to things that they never did just because it is such horrendous torture mentally that they put them through. They eventually just give in and say, yes, I did it, just to stop what they're doing. God damn it, I'm so ashamed of this country.
Good news is that she was actually sent back to a country where she is from and has family. There are people who are getting deported from this country to countries that they are not from and that they've never been to.
Yeah, and now they're in internment camps that look a lot like the gulags that we saw during the Hitler era. That's one of the other comparisons that we can bring up. So if you start seeing ovens around, maybe that would be a big flag. And when you see ovens being trotted out, maybe that's something to get off your ass, America.
They stated, no, you're not under arrest. You haven't done anything wrong and you will be facing no criminal charges. So I was very confused as to why this was all happening.
At the prison, Sirocco's was strip searched and detained with women who had been convicted of murder and drug offenses.
You're not under arrest, but we're still going to treat you like a terrible criminal.
Because she had missed the cutoff for dinner, she was not given food. At no point was she allowed to call her husband or mother.
And I found that so absurd because if I'm going to be there overnight, my right just as a human being should be to contact at least one person.
After a sleepless night, she was brought back to the airport the next morning where her mother joined her. Only then was she offered a phone call with her husband.
I think we were both just very emotional. We hadn't spoken to each other in 24 hours. He didn't know where I was or whether I was safe. It's not only myself, it's my mother and my husband that also had to endure that pain. You know, my husband being a current serving member, to serve his country and to be treated in that way, I find very disgusting.
Sorokos' husband is now in Sydney with his wife. She says she wants people to know the risks of traveling to the U.S. now.
Tell me if I'm overreacting, but I try to think positive, and I think when we get through this, I would like to see those that did this at the direction of others put in jail, and those that made these policies put in jail for the rest of their life, or perhaps shot, because this is so treasonous to our country and everything our country stands for, and you're violating people's civil rights. And maybe not for one, but maybe when you do this over and over and treat people like pieces of meat and treat them poorly, maybe a firing squad is a valid way to go for you, you evil fucker that just decided you were going to do this.
And one other thing that you mentioned at the beginning of this, which I think is important, is that this woman is a former officer of the law. This woman was a police officer in Australia. She is a law-abiding citizen. She is somebody who has upheld the law more than any fucking TSA agent, right? And so she has been responsible for doing these things. And so she understands how people should be treated. She understands at least the laws of our country.
Right.
So her outrage is probably even more. She has a level of understanding that some other people may not.
Yeah.
Because she's arrested people before. She's taken people to the watch house before. Things like that have happened. She's probably never in her career given somebody a strip search.
Right. Because she probably has landed on the right side of the law. And though she was an upstanding police officer and did good things for the world as a police officer and is a genuinely good person from what I can tell, we have to be careful because she is slightly brown. She portrays as a slightly brown person and she's got tattoos. So we can't have those kind of people around in this country doing things ever. And we need to stamp that kind of thing out. These brown tattooed people.
Honestly, you've just described more than 75% of the population of Australia. One thing that people always get wrong about Australia is that they think that the population is majority white. It's not by any stretch of the imagination. It is the most multicultural country in the world. Did you know that 49% of Australians speak a language other than English at home?
I did not. What is the predominant other than English? Do you know?
There isn't really one, but there are Chinese, Hindi, there's a large Chinese population, large Indian population, Arabic, because we have lots of folks from Lebanon. Those are some of the top ones, and then dependent on things get more and more and more niche. You know, Indonesian. Australia's in the middle of Asia. Incredibly complex and diverse. And when I mean Chinese, mostly like Mandarin, but then Cantonese, like all different dialects of Chinese.
Does most of the country treat those people equal and well, or do you have huge pockets of racism like we have here?
I think racism is everywhere, but in my experience, growing up and living in big cities and all of that kind of thing, it's not big. I think if you go in the country and that kind of stuff, yeah, there's a little bit of that.
And same way it is here. I think where people are isolated, they allow themselves to become shitty and have bad attitudes just based on ignorance, maybe more than anything else.
Yeah. And so I think there's many and varied different reasons. There's like gangs and stuff that drives some of that and connotations, you know, the behavior of a small group of individuals all of those different types of things. Like most things, it's a bit complex. But, I do have people who have said to me that they're too afraid to go to Australia because they've heard it's really racist. And, I'm a white lady, and so obviously I haven't had to deal with that.
Right.
So, but I do know people who absolutely have had to deal with that sort of thing.
Is it in the headlines on the news when you look at newspapers and look at stuff online and TV news and that sort of thing?
No. So, for example, like race-related police brutality and stuff.
Right.
No, not a thing. Like,
okay.
No.
Interesting.
Okay,
Right,
I mean, I assume that's where you were going with that. Yeah, no.
Well, we got about another minute of this happy story, so let's wrap this up.
Okay.
It's made it physically impossible for me to even ever enter the United States ever again.
What does that mean for your marriage?
At the time, I felt like my world came crashing down. I felt like my marriage was over when they told me that. And that's something that they've taken away from me as well.
Immigration attorneys say detainees are entitled to a phone call if they are held for several hours. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says they're working on a statement for our story. They did say that decisions on entry are not taken lightly and many factors are considered. Annalisa Burgos, Hawaii News Now.
Yeah, work up a good statement there. Figure that out for us so we make it all okay and go with that.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think the greatest shame of it as well is the fact that because of that thing that's happened is that now she's basically blacklisted from the United States. So the only chance for her marriage is if her husband de-enlists and moves to Australia.
Well, understand that, agree with that, but also I keep feeling like we just need to stick it out another year and a half. I feel like midterms are going to change a lot because it will at least bring us to gridlock to where nothing new can get done. If we can stop the really horrible shit from happening until then, there will be gridlock, and then we'll take back this country in 3.5 years. That's the best we have to look forward to. It is the only hope that I have. And we just need to get out and fight and get off your ass, America, and go protest and call senators and congressmen and do whatever you can. It's that cliche thing that everybody says over and over. You have to call and make your opinions known. You really do. More than any time in history, get off your fucking ass.
I mean, I'm wondering what is going to happen. I'm going to guess what's going to happen, actually. As more and more and more people get deported, and as more and more and more people want to fly underneath the radar, the access to low-cost labor that all of these rich people have gotten fat and happy off is the supply is going to dwindle, the demand is going to increase, so thusly the cost is going to increase. So either A, they won't be able to staff the jobs, or their cost base is going to increase so significantly. So pretty soon, people are going to start feeling the pinch around the unintended consequences on the economy of not just the tariffs and everything, but just the people power. This country is built on immigrants.
Yep.
From the day we asked people to send us their weary, right? From that day.
And you're absolutely right about the economic thing catching up to everybody. And that is going to be the big slap in the face for everybody that voted for Trump. But I think you need to keep a positive attitude, Emily, because we have all those concentration camps now that are being filled up. They can probably use those concentration camps for the labor. So maybe that part of it won't be as much of an issue.
Well, I'm sure that they can start doing that because Lord knows that they already use in many states of this country our prisoners for slave labor.
Arizona's really big on that, I know.
Mm-hmm. Alabama. Yeah, there's a bunch.
Well, we're
terrible. On that happy note.
I was going to say, come on, get happy. Everybody have fun and make it a good week, everybody. Oh, God, it's great just to be alive. I was singing "Come On, Get Happy." Brady Bunch. Did you have the Brady Bunch over there? Your people?
We absolutely did.
Okay,
The
so
Brady Bunch.
I just didn't understand if that pork chops and applesauce
Marsha.
made it
we
over
had-
there. And I remember Peter with the pork chops and applesauce. But not Peter. It was actually Diddy. It was Diddy doing that.
It was Diddy doing it. Diddy did it.
Yep. So I say to you, do be careful traveling. And if you're in LA and you need me to break you out, let me know. I'll do it. I don't know how I'll get
I
to
will.
together.
Thank you. I will need string and many drones. Maybe some weather balloons.
But don't give it away, because then if you give it away, then they know, and they'll know that we're going to get you out with strings and drones.
True. Let's keep it a secret.
All right. Well,
All right,
be
friend.
safe. Be well, everybody.
Be you. Keep it real.
I was going to say it's the same thing as being safe and real, but not quite in there, right? Be safe. Be real safe. There's a t-shirt. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, you know how this goes. Like us, subscribe, tell your friends, write a nice review, engage with us. We're Total Babble on Instagram, on Facebook, on Threads, and on Blue Sky. Email is show@totalbabble.com. The Total Babble Podcast.